I'm Lynn.
I'm Ben.
And that's Arnie. And welcome to another day at Utopia Farms. I gotta tell you something. We did fool a lot of people with our owls yesterday.
Can't be that simple, are they?
Which is really funny. So that's good because I thought for sure they were going to pick out that they were plastic ones. And also I thought, since we'd talked about that tree before, I thought they'd figure it out. But one guy sent me a personal message. I'm not sure where he was from, but he's never commented before. So another good thing about that video was that it stimulated conversation. But he sent us a personal message. It was Jerry. And he said that he was watching the video, and he's kind of like an expert on owls because he's actually been attacked by an owl when he walked by its nest once, and it took his hat and everything like that, and he was yelling to his wife that it was big-horned owls or great-horned owls. So, and quite a few people said they were fooled, so all in good fun, guys.
I thought the clincher would have been that owls. I don't know if they make nests or they go in tree trunks
in the hollows of trees.
Yeah,
maybe some of them go in nests. I'm not sure either, but the majority do go in the hollows of trees to make their nests. So yeah, that might have been another clue. But lots of fun to break up a day. As you can see, it's another dismal day here. And what are you supposed to be doing today?
Well, we're gonna combine grain because it's getting real critical now to the end of the year that we can't do it. And we just got a shower a few minutes ago, a brief shower, which will probably shut the combine down today. So.
And do you have hay in the field?
I have hay down. If I'm real lucky, this afternoon I'll be doing some wrapping bales and wet bales. But the grain is really the grain is going to be
critical.
Nick and talk now. I don't know.
And why is it critical?
Because if you notice the weather right now, I mean, you always say I'm depressing, but you can feel fall, and the air is cooled down. It's like I was making. Remember the video I made a couple days ago? I said how hot it was, and then suddenly it's cold. What the point I was trying to make there is in Canada, summer's here, and then suddenly within one day fall. It's hard to describe that. It just changes so quickly. It doesn't give you warning. It doesn't blend in real slowly. It just crunches right down on you, and you can feel fall.
Okay.
So the barley's got to come off.
So the problem is that he didn't mention is that we're talking about that barley field that got sprayed and shouldn't have gotten sprayed.
Oh, okay.
So now with the crunch coming down, the hay is growing that didn't get sprayed is growing up to the top of the barley, which makes it hard for the combine to cut it down, so we might lose our barley grain crop. The other problem is that the part that did get sprayed has to be cut down and baled so that we can plant the new alfalfa that we lost.
Reseed it before
winter comes in, and every day that window of opportunity for a new seed to actually grow back is getting less and less and less. So I don't know how they're going to compensate us if that doesn't work out.
I'm thinking they're not going to.
Already they're saying we should have had it in already, but we're waiting for combines, we're waiting for a dry day. It's waiting, and for farmers, it's a bad year, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
good for crops if you can get in there.
If he didn't spray half the field dead, and let's say that didn't happen, and let's say it's, you know how wet it is right now, and so the grass seeds like that, they're full of the earth, okay? Even if I was to lose the barley crop, I really wouldn't be, that wouldn't be the end of the world. The problem now is to get the other half of the field seeded down. That's the problem now. So one problem created another problem. Right?
Yeah, so
But-
it's a problem that shouldn't have even been there, but it is, and we're trying to deal with it. But every day the forecast says sunny. This is our sunny day today,
Yeah.
and as you can see, well, it just finished sprinkling, didn't it? So, yeah, tough year for farming.
But you know what they say? Everything works out in the wash. So we're going to get this solved. We're going to get past this. We're going to succeed. We're not going to fail. And we're going to look into another year.
Arnie's such a positive guy.
There's an answer.
He is actually the most positive person I've ever met. Thank God for YouTube.
There's a solution and an answer for everything in life.
Okay,
we just have to do it.
You're talking too much. We got to do.
No, I'm not talking.
We got to get some chores done because we're supposed to be getting visitors today. Oh dear, let's get started. Hi Tommy, you're fed, I can see. Let's move on. All looks good in this barn. Head on to the next barn. I know we start off this way every day, but this is how we start off our days. Everybody's fed in here. Hi girls. Fans are still running. Everybody's up eating. All's good in here too. You have a little bit of an itch? Are you a bit itchy? Sheriff, what are you doing? Are you a busy boy? Sheriff is not a friendly ram. Hey, buddy. Hi. You look like you're tired. Were you up all night busy? Poor boys. Such a hard job. I'll guard you from Tommy, Scotty. So someone sent me a message asking me to explain why there isn't a lot of money in sheep farming, because it looks like we're quite rich with lots of equipment here on the farm, and we do have lots of equipment and fancy gates and stuff like that, new coveralls, fairly new, but the reason I say sheep farming, it's you can make a living sheep farming. We do, but we do crops as well. But the majority of our crops get fed to our sheep. If we're lucky enough to have extra, then that gets sold. And as for all the equipment, the mower here is, I'm guessing, 25 years old. That tractor is probably 45 years old. We bought a used trailer. And the reason we bought a trailer, because we used to pay someone to bring our sheep to market, but we got to the size where, as you can see, when we're relying on people to do stuff for us, you're in a queue or a lineup. So with farming being so time critical, when we got enough numbers of sheep and lambs, we decided that it was time to get a new trailer, because our lambs would be ready for market and we'd call the trucker and he didn't have space, or he wasn't going to go that day. He didn't know when he was going to go. So we invested in a trailer, secondhand. We sold stuff to buy new stuff. We sold our TMR mixer. We bought the farm, and I've been paying that off forever. It is paid off now. But to buy a farm, just the initial input in Canada, you're looking minimum $1 million. And by the time, if you buy a property with lots of land and lots of running barns and stuff like that, you can be looking at $2, $3, $4 million. Pretty hard for a $350 lamb to pay that off. This tractor here is even older. We're getting into your classical tractors here. We do have a brand new wrapper. Again, we were getting someone else to wrap for us, and same thing. He was great, but if the rain's coming in or the hay's on the ground, guess what? He wants to get his done first, and then he'll try and make it to our place. So it got to the point where it wasn't practical, so we sold, I think we sold some, a harvester that we had, because he used to do TMR, so we had wet grain wagons or hay wagons, and we had a harvester. We sold them and got this. It was brand new. Not very many things are brand new, but we traded in old stuff for it. This planter back here is a dinosaur, 60 years old. Still works. It's great. All the gates and feeders and stuff like that here, Arnie made himself. That saves a lot of money. The barns, coveralls, when we got them, were really reasonable in price. I heard they've gone up quite a bit now because there's a lot of steel in those trusses. But Arnie did all the bottoms of the barn, like put in the posts and leveled it off and squared it off and put in he did everything from like the top of the wall down to the undergrounds himself. We only got coverall to come in and do the trusses and put the tarp on because we just didn't have the skill for that. But that saved us enormous amounts of money too. So we started buying gates. Like, these are bought gates. They're just not practical on a farm our size because they're so expensive. So we started making all our gates and stuff because Arnie can weld out of hog panels and metal tubing. That saved us a lot of money. There again, really ancient tractor, old grain wagon. The hay wagons Arnie made himself. We're feeding with buckets, not TMR mixers, not feed wagons or anything like that. There's a lot of hands on here. All of that saves money. We do invest in expensive sheep because we believe, and I think rightly so, that since our sheep are the things that are bringing us an income, we want to be having the best sheep we can possibly get. So we're buying in good rams, we're holding back good rams, and we're holding back good replacement ewes. When we started, we had to buy in all our replacement ewes, and now I'm happy to say that I think we would never buy in a replacement ewe again because we're happier with our ewes than we are with a lot of other ewes we see around. So the better your sheep are, the more money you're going to get at market, and that's where your income's coming from. So you want to keep your costs down so that you can make something on the lambs. And in this country, as in all countries, when you take your lambs to market, it's a crapshoot. One day the lambs are selling for $4.30 a pound, which we got for a lot of our lambs this year, the ones that went to market, which is considered good pricing because we're sending at about 100 pounds. So we're getting like $4.30 gross for our market lambs. And that's why when people call for breeding stock and I say they're $4.50 and they'll say I'll give you $200, it's like, why would I do that? I get $4.30 at market. Now we don't get $4.30 at market. We still have to pay commission off that. So I'm not sure what commission is, but if we got an $8,000 check, usually each load is about $9,000 when we go to market, and usually they take off almost $1,000 in commission. But that's what it is. But one week you can go at $4.30, the next week you go and it's $2.80 a pound. And we have to drive 2 hours to the market, and most people in Canada have a big distance to go to markets because this is a very big country. So you don't bring them back. In the UK, I see if the prices go too low, they'll oftentimes bring them back and hope that it will be better the next week. But it's a gamble. We always say it's the one profession you go in where you work as hard as you can every year, producing the best you can produce. And when you go to sell it, someone's going to decide what they think it's worth, not what it's actually worth. Like, how many people would say, okay, I'm going to go to the office today and in 2 weeks you can pay me what you think I should get paid. And then people complain about lamb prices or food prices, because this is just the running of the farm costs. This skid steer was also used because skid steers are extremely expensive. But this one we got used from a neighbor down the road. It's really old, breaks down all the time, but it's the most used piece of equipment on the property. So this is the one I would recommend everybody had if you could find a used one. And then you have input costs. So you have fertilizer. How much is fertilizer?
It's what you want to spend. They wanted me to spend $15,000, but I only spent about $7,000.
Okay, so they recommended for fertilizing our crops this year $15,000. We put on half the amount that was required because we do put manure on our fields too. So we figured it would balance out. So fertilizer we put on. Then there's what other inputs? Oh, fuel to run all this stuff. All the seed,
My seed was $15,000, and you can put it in the back of a truck.
Yeah, $15,000 in seed, meaning alfalfa, barley, beans, corn seeds. So basically they say for crops, if you have a good normal year, you've farmed correctly, the weather's been on your side, like no disasters have happened, that what you get out of your crops, you're gonna get half your money back. So what am I saying? Like, your input costs are half of your profit. So if you made, I'm gonna just make up a number, you got $10,000 for your crops, your input they say would have been $5,000 for the crops, so you're making $5,000, and that's not including your labor and time. And if you have a disaster, it goes down from there.
So basically, if you had 50 ton of grain to sell, half of that grain would be input costs. give or take.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. So it's not.
And
Not a
what other costs do we have? Well, there's the commission at the sales barn. There's shearing costs.
There's
Um,
5,000
pla-
on plastic.
5,000 on plastic. Like our bills, people come here and they'll buy, 20 sheep for 20 sheep for $8,000, breeding ewes. And they'll complain, they'll say, oh my God, 8,000's a lot. But we basically are forking out easily that much a month in bills just to run the farm. And so your margins are small. There's vet bills, drug bills, dewormers, strings for wrapping the bales, welding costs, light, electricity, hot water, getting water to your sheep. That's why radio tags, the radio tags, which are mandatory, cost probably at least $1,500 a year.
And they all end up in landfill sites.
They stop working or they fall out. Plus we have a farm tag too. The farm tags are half of that, but still we're spending $2,000 a year easily just on tags. And then the hoof trimmers. That's why we're using mainly hand stuff, because your expenses go up from there if you're running TMR mixers, belt feeders, telehandlers, astronomically priced things. So if you have, and we make all our own feed. If you're buying in feed, you're definitely at the mercy of the market. Some years hay can be $35 for a round bale, and on a drought year you can be paying $120 for that same round bale, and probably worse quality, because drought years the quality will be bad.
So why is that? On a good year you pay $35 a bale, and when there's a shortage you pay $100.
It's called gouging the farmer.
Well, I don't get it, because
It's the same hay, same field, same work.
I don't get it, because if we had the ice storms, we doubled up the prices and we were actually charged for it. It's called gouging. But when there's a shortage of hay, we pay that much and it's not called gouging?
Yeah. It is. Like when there's a bad situation, everything goes up in price, but because it's supply and demand. So there's a short supply. So instead of keeping the prices the same and selling it at the same price, and some people won't get any, only the rich can afford to buy it, and other people will have to sell off their livestock in order to stay afloat because they can't afford to feed them. It's kind of a bad thing too. And then there is the straw, costs the same as hay, which I think is really a gouging thing too, because the straw is just a waste product. You can't use it. What?
What holiday weekend's coming up? On the 1st of September?
Labor Day.
Labor Day? People might think we're well off, but Labor Day is coming up. I'm going to guess most people have the day off, and we're going to be working.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So and then you got to look at that. We're working every day, and so our place looks like it's rich, I guess, to a lot of people maybe. But I think it's looking that way because we try to keep it tidy. We keep our sheep well fed so they look healthy and bright. But like my mom said, she was from a poor family in England. And she was also raised that just because you don't have a lot of money doesn't mean that you should let your place run down or be messy. It costs nothing to keep things up and clean and looking nice, just your labor. And I mean, you're doing it. It takes as much labor to keep things a mess as it does to keep it clean. So you may as well keep it clean. Hi, Leonard. Yeah. So if you have a mortgage on top of all your expenses, with rising mortgage rates right now and an unstable economy, you've got that worry too. And you would think, people complain about the food prices, but you would think that because our fuel, our fertilizer, our seed, our electricity, everything that went into producing these sheep went up in price for us this year. Everything. And as for lamb prices, on the farm, they are pretty close to what they've been for the last few years. They are a little up, and I do notice that the sales barn seems to be recognizing better quality lambs now, whereas they didn't seem to as much. So we do get a premium on our lambs, but we feed our lambs really well so that they're going to market in prime condition. And we also sell breeding stock, so you'll get a premium for breeding stock as well. But that being said, there's a lot of costs in registering sheep, transferring sheep, marketing sheep, advertising sheep, and not to mention all the time you put into people trying to sell the sheep and then having them back out. It's not as easy and pretty and money making as it appears. So that's why we say there's not a lot of money in sheep. At the end of the day, we have an income. We're able to stay here. We have food on the table. We have a nice house, but we keep it up. And go on, you guys. We do get, usually at the end of the year, we get what we call the poverty checks from the government. So if you don't make enough money, they send you this little bone. It's like $30 a month, and they actually send it every month. It's like, really? Just send us one check at the end of the year. But yeah. So that's why we say you have to run things as efficiently as possible. So basically what I'm saying is there may be illusions of grandeur here because I do think our sheep are really nice, but we put a lot of feed and a lot of work into keeping them that way. Sick sheep that don't get better after you've treated them for a few weeks, you need to cull them, because you don't need problems running through your flock. That's something else that's going to cost you a lot of money. Spreading bad traits, weaknesses, illnesses onto your flock. So the quicker you get your flock clean and healthy, the more productive that flock's going to be for you, because losing lambs is losing money. And we still truly believe that anything over twins is not a money maker either. In the equipment, you have to invest in milk machines, milk replacer, which is $100 a bag, plus it's gone up too, and the labor and all that goes into raising a bottle-fed lamb. So for us, the goal is always to get twins, because the less money we have to fork out and the less labor, which no one puts value on that labor, but it means that we can have a break. And a break on a farm is hard to come by. So it's invaluable. And sick sheep too. You just can't have it. So our sheep rarely get sick. It's either an accident or they've eaten bad feed, because we cull for it. And if you cull for it, you don't have it. And our house may have an illusion of grandeur too. We've got flags up and extensive flower gardens, and the interior is really nice. But I'm telling you, if you'd seen the house when we first got it, it was a disaster. Together, me and Arnie put in lots of labor. No contractors, no nothing. We do it all ourselves, which saves money, and again, it gives that illusion of grandeur. But it's a lot of work. But we believe you should be proud of what you do, and we can't get away from the farm. Pretty impossible to get away from the farm. So our theory was always that if you can't get away, you got to make where you got to stay as nice as possible. So that means planting flower gardens, weeding, waxing those wood floors, mowing the lawns, putting up a flag, like anything to make it appear nice. Like, I can't imagine what it would cost for these gates if someone was to buy them from a livestock supply store or something. I'm guessing $1,000 a side. And we bought a hog panel. I think they're like $40, and then the metal tubing was probably $100 or $2, and then Arnie's labor. So yeah, it's about finding those little things. That's why I always said you got to be handy. It makes a huge difference, and the less amount of contracting out, the better, because you have to rely on other people. However, things like combines that are really at least $100,000 for a combine, and they go way up from there. Unless you are really, really well established, not many people can afford that type of stuff. You'd have to be like a third generation dairy farmer or something like that to be able to afford them. So if you're running crops yourself, you probably do have to rely on someone doing the combining for you. But the good thing about crops is they're not quite as time sensitive as, say, hay, because hay goes coarse. But once like corn or barley or whatever is ready, it stays ready. Like, unless it got a snowstorm and got covered in snow and ruined, it can wait for the combine to get to you. Okay, and now we had someone jump over the gate. Honey, the food was coming. Max, leave her alone. Sweetheart, why are you out here by yourself? Why? Why would you do that? But you see, they don't like to be by themselves. She's my pet, actually. That's Nibbles. Max, come here. Max! She's such a pet. She's always the one right at the front there, waiting for the hay, but she was so exuberant that she leaped over. It's the first time she's ever done that. Funny. Here she is, trying to get some corn. Go on out in there. Back you go. You silly girl. Okay, so now they can have their food. Hi! Oh, and look who we have here. It's Kinky. Her leg doesn't look too bad. Hi, you guys. There you are. Hi, girls. Hi, honey. peaceful sounds of eating. This is the most satisfying part. When the noise is gone, everyone's at the feeder looking good and eating. Our truck looks pretty fancy too, but it's was bought secondhand as well, and we look after it. We try not to smash into things and stuff. And I think it's 7 years old, and our car is 8 years old. So they're new enough to be nice looking, but both were bought secondhand, and both of them we look after. We don't want money on repairs, so we look after stuff here. We're just starting to get a glut on tomatoes now, which is a good thing. And we just picked this zucchini. Arnie, you have to hold it in your hands so we can see how large that is. You gotta have perspective. We didn't see this when he was way at the back. Show how big that is against you.
This is what people get when they upset me.
That's hilarious.
We'll give that one to Scott Jackson.
So now the sun is starting to come out. Arnie's gonna head to the field to rake the hay. Apparently the combine head is in the other field, so we might be combining today too. I've got a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and then Andrew and Louie are supposed to be arriving by the time I get back. So it's a very busy day, and probably since I had so much footage on this part, it will probably all take place in tomorrow's video, but we'll see. Oh, that rake also was purchased new, but it was also part of a trade-in for some other equipment, so we didn't have to pay too much for it. So as I sit here waiting for Andrew and Louie to arrive, I'm going to call that a day because this video, yes, did go way over time. And whether sheep farming is a money-making proposition or not, you could talk about it forever and ever and ever, because it really does depend on your own financial situation, what you own, what you don't, what you have to rent out, all that kind of stuff, and then the fluctuating prices. I think that farmer is basically at the bottom of the food line, even though we're the makers of the food. I think problems in the economy actually affect us the hardest, and that our input costs are enormously affected at every level, and what we sell our products for don't reflect that increase in costs, so we're actually making less and less each year in general. So yeah, there are so many variables. It depends. But I think no matter who you are in farming, you got to be pinching pennies. It's not like being a stockbroker or a doctor or a banker or a lawyer. It's a way of life. People always say that, and it truly is a way of life. You gotta love it, because if you're in it for the money, you're gonna be very disappointed. But if you're in it for the quality of life, you like the land, you like the outdoors, you like good hard work, and you love the animals, it's a great job. So yeah, like I said, it's gone way over time. The combine didn't show up today, but the head is in the field, so I'm thinking tomorrow. Arnie's out in the field right now baling hay. Like I say, our visitors are arriving from Alberta shortly. So there's going to be a lot in tomorrow's video. So a lot of talking in this one, not as much fun, but we'll try to intersperse the fun times with the more lecture, university at Utopia Farms type stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow to watch us combining and to watch our new visitors. Maybe I'll get them to go through the morning routine with us. I know he's a bit shy, but I think maybe I can get him to do it. Anyway, bye for now.